There is a principle in this world that people often ignore, and that principle is this: a person's true value is determined by themselves, not by anyone else. If you hand over your value to someone else, they will use you exactly the way they see fit. This is not a story of anger, nor is it a story of revenge. It is a story of silent decisions, of setting boundaries, and of the truth that if you want someone's labor, you must pay its price. I had been working in the same field for many years. My work was technical. It required time, focus, and above all, experience. There was a client I had worked with for a very long time. It was a relationship where there was no excessive talk and no unnecessary explanations. They understood how the work was done, and I understood what they needed. For years, everything went smoothly. Work was delivered on time, payments were made on time, and there was mutual respect. Then, slowly, things began to change. New people started joining the company. The old management left, and new management came in. And when new management arrives, they often assume first that the people who have been working there for a long time are not that important. That mindset is where problems begin. One day, there was a Zoom meeting. On the surface, it seemed like a normal meeting, but the tone was not normal. A new hire, someone who had recently joined, addressed me about an issue in a way that suggested I was the one accountable. The reality was that the mistake was entirely theirs, but the responsibility was being shifted onto me. I did not argue. I did not raise my voice. I simply took note. Because experience teaches you that it is not necessary to speak at every moment, sometimes silence says much more. After that, I noticed that I was being consulted less. Decisions were being made without me. I had no objection to that. Every company has the right to change its approach. I did not take it personally. I continued doing my work, while also accepting the distance. Some time passed. The problem that had existed before was still there, and in fact, it had grown worse. One day, the new management reached out and said they needed my help. I did not make a long speech. I simply quoted a 1-hour fee. A clear, straightforward fee. No extra conditions, no complications. The response I received was the turning point of the story. They did not discuss the fee itself. They did not discuss the problem. Instead, they questioned how I tracked my time, where my time was spent, and why 1 hour was worth that amount. At that moment, it was no longer about money, it became about respect. When someone questions not your skills but your value, that is where work stops and boundaries must be set. They refused to pay. I did not respond. I did not explain myself. I did not argue. I simply chose silence. Because people who do not respect the value of your work are not entitled to your time. After that, a strange pattern began. 1 or 2 emails every week. Calls every few days. All going to voicemail. I did not respond to a single one. Time passed. The problem remained unresolved. And the more time passed, the greater their need became. Eventually, one day, they themselves said to send the invoice. But by then, I had already made my decision. There are moments when if you step back, you lose respect in your own eyes. I refused. Quietly, without any announcement. Then they tried to find me on social media. Profiles were viewed. Messages were sent. Pressure was applied. I blocked them. Because professional boundaries mean that when a matter crosses from work into your personal space, that is where the line must be drawn. After that, I took another step. I sent a different invoice, for a fee that had been established for years, an annual fee connected to a license. I clearly stated that if this fee was not paid, the license would be revoked. This was not a threat. It was a fact. They refused to pay that fee as well, but once again pleaded for help with the original issue. This time too, I did not respond. Because sometimes, not responding is the clearest response. Finally, the day came when I revoked the license. Not in anger, and not with satisfaction. Just a professional decision. The problem still exists on their end. The only difference is that now, the solution is no longer within their reach. The lesson of this story is very simple, but people often refuse to accept it. If you want someone's work, pay for it. If you want someone's expertise, respect it. Time, experience, and knowledge are not charity. And those who believe they can pressure someone, question them, or waste their time to make them cheaper end up suffering the greatest loss themselves. This story is not for one person. It is for everyone who sells their labor. And it is also for everyone who wants to buy the labor of others. Because in the end, the principle remains the same: if you know your value, the world cannot force you.